Hello and welcome back to the What the Falk Sunderland review show after a relatively disappointing night at Sheffield United. A missed penalty, two red cards, and sadly a late goal saw Sunderland fall to a 1-0 defeat at Bramall Lane, and we have now fallen 5 points behind them, the league leaders in the race for automatic promotion. I'm going to be honest, I'm feeling particularly down this morning after that, and to be completely blunt, I'm sure many of you are as well. But if you've been brave enough to listen, we'll hopefully all cheer each other up. That's kind of what these things try to do. We try to have a bit of catharsis. And I'm sure it's not as bad as it feels. But when Sunderland lose, I am sad. To join me in the sadness that will hopefully turn to happiness is Dave Lawrence. Listen, Dave, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I got to get back on the tracks and try not to say that word, aren't I? Yeah, I'm fine. My football team's shit again. They're not really shit. For anyone who just listened to that and turned off and unsubscribed, thank you very much for a start. Secondly, yeah, I think that was nearly an appropriate time to go. Listen, but I didn't. I stopped myself. I think we've gone toe to toe with a very savvy, physical Sheffield United team who's managed by an absolute dinosaur of a dickhead. There's the name for the podcast, Dinosaur of a Dickhead.
I quite like him, me.
Yeah, I'm never going to be a journalist, but hey ho. We've come up short. I think we've got a few unfit players in terms of probably carrying knocks and things like that. But there's plenty of positives. It's just a shame that we've had like 5 draws on the bounce that last night becomes kind of even harder to take. I think it's the 5 draws previous that make last night really disappointing, not last night's defeat. The manner of it, 7 minutes ago or whatever it was. Hey ho, we've had our chances, haven't we? We've missed a penalty. It's going to sound bitter, especially to any Sheffield United fans who are listening. I'm not so sure the keeper's foot was on the line when he made that save. You know, just going to put it out there. So, but yeah, it's one of them. We've getting beat. We just need to put it right next week now, don't we?
Yeah, I think the response... Look, the ones that frustrate me the most was definitely Millwall and most definitely the Coventry game. But they've gone. Like, we'll get onto it in terms of league position and where we're actually at. It does feel frustrating because it's 6 games without a win. There's caveats and context to a lot of those results. But it's all about response now, winnable games moving forward. But Pete, you've joined us as well. Look, it was a 1-0 defeat. It was full of incident. It's hard to come on and be like, let's be positive about Sunderland defeat. And I know some people don't feel like it's the end of the world. And it isn't. It isn't the end of the world. Far from it. Some people feel like it is because we take defeats really badly, because when you're passionate about a football team or passionate about anything and it doesn't go the way you want it to go, you can't exactly be like, whoa, hey, brilliant. But you've had a sleep. Not much of a one, Pete, but you've had one. You feel any better about it?
No, I don't. Look, I'm gonna
Oh
get it
well.
all. I'm gonna get it all out in the open before we start. Is that I don't think it is the end of the world with that at all. It's 1 defeat, and you don't win or lose the championship by 1 defeat. You also don't win or lose the championship by 1 period of the season where your form drops. Now, if someone can make it so that this is the period in the season where the form's dropped and it's ended up with 5 draws and a loss, happy days, take that. I'm not also going to sit here and go, don't worry, everybody, it's all under control, it's fine, because it's not. There was clearly some problems there last night. An old problem raising its head, that they're not able to finish chances when they're there. Granted, I think we're still in a better position to do that with the likes of Wilson Isidore in the squad than we have been without him. I'd put a lot on last night. I'd built last night's game up in my own head as like, right, this is going to be a real test. See how they get on against a team that is going to be there or thereabouts by the end of it. And they couldn't put them to the sword. The positive I'll take from it is there was periods they played lovely football. Doesn't matter if you play lovely football if they get beat at the end of the day. Yeah, it's a tough one. I can almost see why some people are going absolutely batshit mental and saying things like Reggie needs to get himself down the job club. I know they're few and far between. I'm sure nobody who said that last night believes that this morning. And yeah, look, they'll go again next Saturday. That's a tough one to take. And we have kind of tried to sugarcoat, or it was X amount of games without a defeat. Well, now we're 6 games without a win, and was it the 6 games without a win, 5 draws, 1 loss? Yeah, there we go, counting right. That's not Sunderland. That's not Sunderland in this league. That's not Reggie Labrisse's Sunderland side, and it's not where we need to be and what we need to be doing. So this is where he earns his money. Got to turn it around this week. Let's hope that he can do it. But yeah, look, I'm absolutely gutted. It's Friday night, and it's absolutely knacked me weekend of what I was supposed to be doing. Haven't done anything I was supposed to be doing on Saturday already. Probably not going to get it done.
I feel a bit like that. Like, it's actually, like I said before, the results against Coventry and Millwall were probably more frustrating, but I think it's because it came at the end of that run, and it's a Friday night, and you kind of were up for it, and it was like seen as a real barometer. The fact that I thought we were actually the better side for the bulk of the game, marginally, I don't think we were like miles the better side. I don't think we like were totally and utterly robbed. I thought we deserved to draw at the minimal. It's just tough. But there's positives to come, and let's start with the positives, Dave. I thought there were some good performances in there. Look, there were some poor ones as well, but in isolation, it really wasn't a poor performance. I thought Tommy Watson was really, really good. Who was it that impressed you most from what you saw, Dave?
Tommy Watson, especially considering he had a few. I won't go as far as saying pelters the game before, but he had a few disgruntled fans, to say the least. We've said this for a while now, where when you invest in this youth policy that we do, you're not going to get the consistency that you crave. And it's the way that we play football now. It's open, it's expansive. Yes, there's going to be times that it's not an old-fashioned Sunderland, not one that we were brought up on and digging into games. And then, football's a different game, isn't it? And we've got some really talented footballers in that squad. I thought Chris Rigg yesterday, something looks like it's going to happen every time he gets on the football. And I've got time for that. Job puts himself about. He seems to have found himself a new energy this year and a bit more physicality.
Job was excellent last night, to be honest. I think, the photo where you can see him like on his haunches?
Yeah.
Like, it looks in isolation like a photo of like total desolation and sadness. But what I really, really like about Job when I see photos like that, it's mentality. Like, I think it would be quite easy for him to pat himself on the back and be like, oh, I might be off to Dortmund at the end of the season. Just keep performing well. It's all right. He wants to win for Sunderland. He wants to win for himself. And he can't accept a 1-0 defeat at Sheffield United. I'm not saying anyone should. But like, it would be quite easy for him to be like, well, I played well. I did my bit. Go to the dressing room, bit disgruntled, get a bit annoyed that my teammates have buggered it up at the end, even though I've played really well. He has a real mentality where I think he genuinely thinks we're the best side in this league. And we dropped 3 massive points yesterday. And I've got so much time for that with Job. For me, look, I think Job's our best player. I think by an absolute country mile. But I think his mentality speaks even louder for him.
Yeah, and I think that mentality goes. I think we've got the right mix in the squad. And we said before the beginning of the season, our biggest worry this year was the lack of depth and strength. And I think that is exactly what's happening at the minute. That's all I think it is. I think we're 3 or 4 players short, and especially a centre forward. Wilson's come in. I'm convinced that he's a very capable player at the level, and I think he will get better. I love how much he's invested in Sunderland and stuff. Never fall in love with a lone player. How many times we heard that? Dare I say it, in a game like that last night, would an Ollie McBurney make a difference? Somebody, I can't even think of anyone off the top of my head, but someone who's been there, done it, got the T-shirt, rolls the defender, kind of puts away a half chance. Do I think we miss it? Yeah, I do. Just for when someone's not in form, when someone's not bagging him. I don't think Isidore's ever going to be a 20-goal striker. Again, I hope he is. I just think we lack a little bit of nous. And I said that at the beginning of the season. And now that we're in this inverted commas little run of form, or bad run of form, it sticks out even more that I think we're just missing a couple. And we all had a chat the last couple of days. I think 09 moving from centre half. It's been the start of it. It's amazing how much he does within the team. And we all know that I was never Luke's biggest fan as a footballer, but I think he's crucial to how we set up and play.
I like how you deemed the little chat It was an argument, full-blown argument in the WhatsApp group between all of us. And just for clarity, I actually, it's rare that we disagree, Dave, to be fair. We're the two that agree most, but I'm going to disagree with you on the forward line. I think Wilson's one of the better strikers in this league. I think he will score 20 goals this season. And I don't mind his backup that much. I think Mayenda as a forward will get you enough goals to make it plausible. I think Connolly's looked decent in flashes, although he is different. Him scoring the goal against Millwall the other week was a big thing for him because I believe that he'll now feel he can score goals for Sunderland. Where the problem lies, in my opinion, and I'm going to throw this to you as well, Peter, we're lacking goals from other areas of the pitch, and that's not helping. As much as I've just praised Job, I don't think Job scored probably enough this season, although he's got two. Watson's only just came in the side, so I'm not going to criticise him with that. We're losing Mundell's goal threat with his injury on top of that as well. Dan Neil's probably playing too far deep these days to get himself on the score sheet. He's normally good for 4 or 5 a season. Riggy hasn't scored for a while, but I'm not going to criticise him too much. He's 17. We shouldn't be relying on a 17-year-old to score all the goals. You can see where I'm going with this, Pete. Patrick Roberts is not contributing enough. And I love Patrick Roberts. I love him. I do. I really do. I'm one of his biggest fans. He's the sort of player that I would pay endlessly to watch. But he's beginning to become more of a problem than he is a solution over the past few weeks. We praised him when he started very well at the start of the season. I'm not writing him off. I love him. But it's 1 goal in 49 games. That's just not good enough.
No, it's not. It's not good enough. It's not good enough for anybody. Never mind a player of Patrick's undeniable quality. The problem is at the moment is we're not seeing Patrick Roberts that we saw at his very best, which was probably alongside Ahmad, and we're not even seeing the Patrick Roberts that started this season, where there was, he looked like he was going to make something happen. And what we see now is because those things haven't happened, those shots haven't flied in the top corner, the crosses haven't found the leaping head of Wilson Isidore. You now think, oh Christ, what's he going to do now? And like, if I'm honest, when the camera flashed to him to say that he was going to be the one taking the penalty,
you just knew, didn't you?
I thought, well, this is a difficult one with Patrick Roberts. Look, what we tend to see from Patrick Roberts is when he wants a new contract, this is going to make him sound awful, but it's, everybody needs the motivations. But it's, when he wants a new contract, when he's trying to get back in the team, when he's trying to stabilize himself, you see the best Patrick Roberts.
When he's got something to aim for, basically.
Gets himself in a comfortable position and
the goal,
it just gets turned down. It's like a dial that gets turned down on him. He's very frustrating at the moment because we all are aware, we've all watched Sunderland and can see what Patrick Roberts can do. He's not doing it, and you've got to start thinking, who's the one that comes in? I think he needs to sit out. I think he needs to sit out at the moment, and I would leave him out for the next game. Is Mayenda the one to come in to do it? He might be the only one we have to put in there. I don't think playing Mayenda on the right is the way to get the best out of Elisa Mayenda, but I think giving him the option to come in there and do it, and just say, Patrick, you look, he's 31 years old. He's 31. That's right.
No, yeah. he's only 27, mate.
Is he?
Hi. He should be in his prime. This is the biggest frustration for me with Patrick Roberts. He's in his prime.
I mean, I was about to say you can have the type of chat with him going, look, it's 27, he probably should know better as well in his prime as a footballer, but to say, you've not done it on game day, you're going to sit the next one out, we'll see what happens when you come back in. It's up to you to get yourself back in. And that's what that's for me is what he needs, because when he has something to play for, as we've said, we get a wonderful footballer that's undoubtedly one of the most gifted, talented, skillful that we've seen. But I can put those crosses in, and I'm shit at football. Absolutely terrible. And I can put those crosses in. That penalty last night was nowhere near good enough. And if we're looking to that being the type of player that we have as well from all kinds of situations, from our dead ball situations, he's supposed to be a goal threat from there. Nah, that's not happening. Frustrating footballer. But, frustrating footballer and a frustrating football team at the moment, I think. Fix Patrick Roberts and I might be feeling a lot better. Well, obviously I would be, because we would have scored that penalty if it was the best version of Patrick Roberts. But Yeah, something needs to be done there. And as you can see by the way I'm floundering about, apart from dropping for the next game and play Elisa Mayenda, I don't think I've got the answer to that at all. And I hope Regis has a better grasp on what he needs to do with it because, yeah, something definitely needs doing there. It's so frustrating watching him at the moment and having that feeling of a player that has far far worse ability than we know Patrick Roberts has, and having that feeling about him going, well, he's going to cock this up. Oh, here we go. This one will be floated in at the back post for nobody. I think, and I am going to disagree with Dave there as well. Again, as I think Wilson can be the man, and I just wished there'd been some kind of link up properly between him and Roberts because I think he's got some cracking headers in him as Wilson Isidore. If he can get that cross coming in for him, I think he's well in there. I also think Wilson now needs to start knocking on Regis's door. I'm sure they can have a quiet word in French and say, "Me on pens now, boss. You on pens, Wilson.
Yeah.
You on." But yeah, frustrating night for Sunderland, frustrating night for Patrick Roberts, and a frustrating period for Patrick Roberts at the moment.
I think, and look, I wrote a piece for the publication I write for about Patrick Roberts because he's formerly of Celtic and that had a Scottish interest. And I felt like a lot of what Patrick Roberts did at the start of the season, what Sunderland did, sorry, at the start of the season was via Patrick Roberts. He registered 3 assists. That's how it looks. But if you watch a lot of our goals in the first sort of 7-ish games of the season, Roberts is involved at the forefront of every single one of them. Like,
yeah, it's not the assist, but he's the one that passes the ball. It makes the play. That's right, and that's something we can't overlook that he has contributed. But yeah,
there was 2 against Pommy where, like, if it wasn't for a slight deflection, he gets another 2 assists, and you suddenly go 5 assists. So Roberts wasn't just playing well at the start of the season; he was playing really, really well, and everything was coming through him. So I don't want to just flip the script and be like, "Oh, he's rubbish," because he isn't. The problem is, we had this conversation about Patrick Roberts last season, and we said he needs to come back next season and find what we love about him, which is creativity, excitement, ball control, going both ways on the wing, cutting inside, cutting out on the outside, cutting in, doing both ways. The kind of skill that made Jack Clark so exciting because he couldn't handle him because he didn't know where he was going to go. Was he going to cut in and shoot? Was he going to go down the wing and cut back? Roberts is 100% capable of doing that as well. And when he came back at the start of the season and he had all this kind of involvement and everything good Sunderland did offensively and defensively, he did a good job as well. There's a reason he was on 5 bookings. They weren't all for dissent. He basically answered critics from last season. So for him to just go back to the player that, I'm going to be honest with you, the West Brom game, I know we didn't review it. He cut in at one point and I literally shouted, "Oh, fucking don't, mate." And I got what I expected. For him to revert back to that isn't good enough. And at 27, it's a really critical point for Roberts at the moment in his career. And he needs to turn it around now because the beginning of his career was all hyped up to be the best thing since Lionel Messi. That's a big thing to live up to. But he ended up on loan at Girona, Norwich, Middlesbrough. He didn't find a home. He came here. He found a home in League One. He built himself up. He scored at Sheffield Wednesday. He had a fantastic season alongside Diallo. Then he faltered last season. He cannot falter this season for his own career, let alone Sunderland, because Sunderland will move at a faster rate than Patrick Roberts moves if he doesn't improve. And I know that's harsh, but it's accurate, I think.
Recruitment need to be looking at attacking right midfielder right now, based on what we've got.
Yes.
And that's not because I need Patrick Roberts out of my club and all of this type of stuff.
No.
Did see some things that were pretty insane about him, but no, they need the recruitment. If they're worth the salt, and I believe they are, will be saying, let's see if we can get some 17-year-old Spanish lad who's only ever played in the club leagues, but we've seen something in him.
There's a quicker fix than that as well, and I said it at the time with all the injuries and suspensions.
The forgotten man, aye.
Definitely forgotten. I think I would play wing backs, and that would take Roberts out of it, or it would move Roberts centrally, which might just improve his form slightly. I said it at the time with all the injuries and suspensions. It would keep 9 at centre half as well. It would mean we could play football. I just think that's a quicker fix, and I think we are getting on to that stage where we need to maybe try something a little bit different. If I'm honest,
it would also fix the centre half issue, and it's talking over you a wee bit there. Centre half problem, and they've got a week right now before the next game to get that worked on. And it's not like none of them will go, wing what? 3 at the where?
Oh, I reckon Traherne would do all right as a right wing back, if I'm quite honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, he delivered a ball last night. It was a lovely cross he put in. Like, see, this is the thing is when you go back, there's glimpses of wonder in there. Yeah, I think definitely. I think give it a go because something has to change. I'm happy to look. They've got a week off this week and then another one of these 7 days, 3 matches in 7 days weeks. Have it mixed up a little bit because something needs to change because they've been sussed by some teams and the performances playing the formation he likes to play hasn't come. So why not?
Dave, another goal conceded in the 80th minute or later. Me numbers might not be exactly right on this because I just did a wee quick Google this morning, but I think that's 6 goals in total we've conceded, 6 or 7, I think, in the 80th minute or later this season. But 3 of them have come in the last 4 games: Coventry, Millwall, and Sheffield United. That's a concern. Where's it coming from? Is it the fact that the lads are pagged and they're having to like play every single game, or is it concentration?
Combination of both, I think. There was definitely an element of people out on their feet last night. Unless didn't look fit to me when he came on, especially up against a brand new winger as well. He did make one great challenge against Sarigi, but I thought he was. I thought he looked a little bit leggy. I thought Ballard looked dead on his feet. I thought Wilson looked a little bit dead on his feet. There was a few of them, and then you've got to throw in the bit that we have to. And this is where we're saying about it goes further than just personnel, but this is where we're saying about the squad depth and stuff. You know, it was never going to work for him because of how long he'd been injured and stuff. But we lost to Corey Evans. We replaced him with a Brown. We could probably do with a 2 or 3 more of them, even if they only come on for the last 20 minutes and solidify everything and say to the kids, you've got to be 10 yards further this way. You've got to be narrower. You've got to be whatever it may be. And then, of course, there's where Tom Davies has scored. There does look as though I understand the second phase where he hasn't tried to put his foot in because he is just about to clip his heels. But that first phase, which I think was Adji, I think he had the opportunity to just put his right foot through it. But again, that's because we teach them to play football. That's because we want to play an attractive brand of football. Mix that with the inexperience. Yeah, you don't just put your foot through the ball. You try to play your way out of trouble. Unfortunately, you end up on the wrong side where we've all been clamouring for wins instead of draws. I'll tell you what, the whole fan base would have snapped your hand off for a draw last night instead of getting beat. That's for sure.
Pete, we probably should touch on it. I don't want to talk about the ref too much. I thought he was cack, to be completely honest. Like,
right, weak as piss. I don't care. We can't. There's no Ofcom for this, so I can say the type of things I'm not allowed to say in my day job. Absolutely shocking. Do you know? There's no defamation enough for that little prick. No, I very rarely hate. But the way he's bottling it and backing away from them Sheffield United players when they're coming to him. Do you know what? If he had an ounce of self-respect, he just would have gone, sorry, what? I cannot hear you. There's a yellow for you. There's a yellow for you. And there's a yellow for you. Now, fuck off.
Old-fashioned refereeing. I've got time for it. I love that. You wouldn't have went up to Pierluigi Collina and done anything, would you?
Oh, Collina.
Yeah. Even what's he called, man? The
David Coote.
And the likes of them. But the no, shocking, poor.
I'd even take a Uriah Rennie nowadays, Peter. I tell you.
Absolutely. I needed a Uriah Rennie myself. I've given myself heartburn and complaining about them referees.
Do you think it was a red card? For us?
Yeah. Was it a red card for us? Probably. Easily given. Can also see the argument for why there's somebody covering. Was it a red card for them? Yes.
I'd appeal it, mate, because I think the suit-up challenge looks the same. Do you know the one before?
I would appeal, but that's just if you're not in it, you can't win it. I think there's a chance they'll get it down, get it reduced in terms of because what would is it a three
If they see it as like dangerous play to three, I don't think they will. I think it'll be a maximum of one, but I'd even appeal that. I just don't think it was a red. I think the lad actually hasn't got control of the ball. And
nah.
more the point you talked about, like inconsistent, incompetent referees. You look at the one beforehand that Suter puts in, there's not a great deal of difference. So, like, if there's and I know Suter got sent off in the end anyway, but like, he had a few chances to consider being sent off, didn't
Because
he?
he needed sending off. I mean, he was an absolute. I mean, yeah. Look, they can't have any complaints about the decisions that did get him sent off. Um, Frustrating, and it's continuously frustrating. I don't think if Sunderland were to appeal, they would get anything. As I try and regain my broadcasting composure right now, but I don't think they will get anything because if they were to get anything, it would set a precedent for some terrible decisions in this league. Now, Sunderland's got the worst end, the shitty end of the stick. Two games in the row. One with the Wilson's goal being ruled offside. There's more times I watch it, I can say probably got to give that. I think one was given just in the week for now I can't remember because I was got myself so riled up about the referee. I don't think they'll give it because I think it would set a precedent in a league that has some pretty poor refereeing standards. I would still appeal it anyway.
Yeah, me
But
too.
I just think I think you've got a problem with refereeing in this league, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's such an issue. I think some of it, I'm always terrified whenever I hear, oh, it's a Premier League ref. I was like, well, there you go. There's all the offsides, not going to be right because they're waiting for a word in their ear. You can't have this one rule for the elite, one rule for others when it comes to the whole, how the rules of the game work with VAR. Just don't agree with it. I think it shouldn't be there. Um, and the lad last night who was reffing that game, whose name I've not even bothered researching as I slag him, I think he performed terribly. I think he'll look back on it and he can't be particularly happy with it. I hope his bosses watch it and aren't particularly happy with it. And he'll probably be referring Fleetwood Salop next week or something like that in League One. That's the way it tends to work because that's what we do for punishment is we send them to the leagues where they have less technology. Great stuff. Well done. That'll make things better. No, not happy with the referee, not happy with any of that. But ultimately the referee doesn't put the ball in the back of the net and he doesn't keep the shape to keep the ball out the back of the net. And Sunderland didn't do that either. So yeah, it just
So
adds to
we're
me, mate.
so we're not going to discuss referees, as I said. But no, it's kind of hard not to be completely honest. Look, a couple of more questions. A lot of the listener questions that came in, we've sort of covered. Sorry if we haven't, but I want to stick with you on this one, Pete, because I know you're a big fan of Regis Lebris, but a lot of the questions that came in were about his substitutions being poor again, and I can't deviate away from that. I think they were. I don't understand taking Watson off. He was our biggest goal threat all night. I think these substitutions are a bit weird sometimes, or they're too late, or they don't make sense. I'm not like questioning Regis Lebris and having me big placards in Reggie Lebris out. I've got full confidence he's the right bloke. But the past few weeks, there's been cracks in his armor, hasn't there, a little bit, and things where he talks a lot about learning. He talks a lot about like realizing the challenge and coming up against a challenge and enjoying it. He has to learn from these little cracks pretty fast because it's a big old division to not learn your lessons in.
It's a results-based game and he's not getting the results. And that is when he has to face questions. That's when Lebris has to face these questions because that's not the form he was brought in to get. And yeah, I don't think his subs have been right when they've not been done at the right time. And when they've been done, I think they've been weird. I thought taking O'Nien off against West Brom was mental considering the game he was having, where I don't think he's a fullback. He still played pretty well. He played really well. In fact, he was the one that got the ball across for the goal that never was. He needs to face questions when it's not going well because that's the job he's in. That's the job he's taken. He's there as the lightning rod for when decisions go wrong because it doesn't matter if Mike Dodge was on the bench like and he's doing this, that, and the other. It's Regis Lebris's team, and Reggie Lebris decides what's going on. And I think, I hope he will use this week. I hope he will use the bit of time that they've got to try and fix things. his interviews, as you said, still always say the right thing. I will take from this the positives that I can, and I will try and I'll try and learn from what we're going through right now. We need to start seeing that, because this is 6 games now that we've not getting what we should have gotten. Which I do think there's not one team in this league that Sunderland can't beat when they're playing properly. And you look at Sheffield United Twitter and Blue Sky this morning, quite a lot of people there saying we got off the hook, but the result has gone the wrong way. Now, what Regis needs to sort out is just getting 3 points back in that win column. If he does that, it will take a lot of the pressure off. Not that I think he's under extreme pressure at the moment, but if you're a football manager and you're not winning games, you are under pressure. The substitutes thing's a problem. I don't know how he fixes it apart from he makes the substitutes sooner and makes them different. I still believe Regis is the man for now, but he does deserve digging out for the fact that look, his job at the end of the day is results, and he's not getting them at the moment. Now, if he was to keep on not getting them, then his position starts getting questioned. I don't think we're there yet. But it needs turning around. It needs turning around quickly.
Yeah, he needs to turn the ship around fast, because a week's a long time in football. A 6-game winless run, which it now is even longer. And I think, just to be fair to him as well, we need to remember that he's fairly novice in his own management career. He's had a long career in football, but I think this is only his 3rd full season. But by your 3rd full season, even though it's in a different league, you'd hope that, you can see when something's not necessarily working and he needs to make some changes. But Dave, we've got a little bit of time left. It's hard not to feel despondent, look, because we've just been really proud of how the team's played this season and we want to go for it, and it's 6 games without a win. That's hard. The 5-point lead at the top has turned into a 5-point gap from the top over the course of the last few weeks. But we've got a run of 3 very winnable games. Stoke at home, Bristol City at home, Sheffield, Swansea away. We're level with 3rd. We're 4 points ahead of 5th place Watford and 5 points clear of Borough and West Brom in 6th and 7th. That's pretty fucking healthy. What do we need to do very quickly to get this up and running again?
Yeah, I don't think we're anywhere near panic stations. We're Sunderland fans. We've had panic stations before. This is certainly not one of them. I think we'd have snapped your hands off for playoffs. And I'm telling you now, anyone who plays us in the playoffs over a 2-leg semi-final will not fancy it in the least. And I hope it's Burnley. I hope we do them home and away. I can see us doing it. And then it's the lottery of a final. And for some reason, I'm actually weirdly confident that we might actually do something at Wembley in like a game of magnitude. There's no experience to life of why I should think that. But I genuinely think we are good enough to be in the playoffs. I think the parachute money and the nous and the squad depth that Leeds and Sheffield United have got, I think that will see them over the line. Yeah, I can see us being in the top 6 by the end, and I really fancy us to do all right, but we've still got a long way to go.
Yeah, to leave it on a positive, I feel exactly the same way. But lads, look, I don't like discussing a defeat. I'm sure people don't always like listening to defeat, but if you've lasted this long, thanks very much. As always, please unsubscribe.
I'm going to hang some Christmas lights and try and cheer myself up.
In case you said Christmas lights.
What was that?